Again, we accessed our drain through our cleanout Y located by the lift pump in the basement. We're about 96 feet on the camera counter this time around. Looking at our connection to the manhole termination. Actually, when we take the slack out of it, it's more like 95. Manhole termination is in the gutter of the roadway, right beside the curb line. Pipe material is 6-inch clay. We have some pooling water here in this stretch. When we have water running, it gets a little bit deeper, but right now we have no water running, so we can see the lateral as good as possible. That's a loose piece of debris that we knocked off on a fitting a little bit more upstream of here. Looks like it was some overspill from when the joint was poured. Solid debris hanging out here where the water wants to be persistently pooling. The remaining rip debris right there at 77. Change in elevation to a slightly shallower depth. 60 feet, we're starting at the top of this elevation change is where it's right around the fence line between the public sidewalk and the private grass area. This was also where we knocked off that stalactite formation. Appears to have been some overpour when the joint was poured. At first we thought this was maybe extra resin from a spot liner, but after cleaning the pipe we don't see any liner material here. So it's clearly some concrete overpour that was just formed that stalactite. Remaining rip at 58, cut back as much as possible. Remaining rip at 54, cut back as much as possible. Remaining rip at 50, cut back as much as possible. All along here was very dense root growth, but has since been removed. Remaining rip cut back as much as possible. Remaining rip cut back as much as possible. Through this section we also had a lot of persistent pooling of water, which seems to have gone away now that we've got the debris out of the drain. Remaining rip cut back as much as possible. Here's our change in direction. It appears to be one long, or maybe two 45 fittings that are close to each other right there, making a 90-degree turn. And here we have our transition. So this is 6-inch clay, transitioning to 4-inch clay, then transitioning to 4-inch cast iron. And here we also have some roots that are remaining, cut back as much as possible. Cast iron section approaching the building. And before, when we had things a little dirtier, we thought this was the size change, and we thought this was 6-inch, but now we know that this is 4-inch, and we have a major shift, kind of a break in the pipe. We can see the void in the ground as we come back and forth in this section on the top there. We can see that there's a physical void. So the pipe has snapped probably under stress over time. And so we have this part fixed in the foundation wall, and then this part just outside the foundation wall has dropped down a bit, probably an inch or so. Rocks seem to be staying put up there, but we would have a concern over time of this causing collapse and further problem. Passing back through the foundation wall. Right there we can see our Y connection on its back for our drain stack that's entering into here. And for perspective, we see our lift station, we see the pump discharge hooked in, and then we see the stack as it goes up and over to where it eventually joins the two men's and women's toilets upstairs on the first floor.